You are listening to the Kentucky X-Files with hosts Dennis Mays and Tyler Stewart. Don't forget to subscribe to us on Spotify or YouTube so you never miss an episode. Now, to our show.
Something that would be in the context of the
He
supernatural.
described it as being a gray, silver-looking, upright bipedal creature, dragging a deer out of that cave going up the hill.
Where he goes, hey, I got a question for you. He goes, do you believe in demons?
And it takes one big step and vanishes. I'm like, oh my God, that was a Bigfoot.
And look at these pictures of this white creature.
Something 7'3" to 8 foot tall.
Right.
That, let's say it like
And I'm telling you right now, if this was a bear, then this bear was standing on his hind legs, and he was running like a man. No, this wasn't no bear.
now, when it stood up, that's when I knew it was a dog man.
Well, like to kind of give some context if you can. These Kachinas.
Kachinas, yeah.
Yeah, Kachina. Are they part human again? Or are they?
From what I understand,
I thought it was like an animal spirit.
a Kachina is like a forest spirit or an animal spirit. It's
So you
definitely a
think- could
spirit.
you-
It's something that's,
If you, I guess if you do you think that they could talk,
I
form
don't know.
sense?
I imagine. I
Do you
mean,
think that?
I would honestly ask the listeners, like, hey, if anybody wants to shed
Give
more
us
light on, give
yeah.
us more details, send it in.
I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility. But mockingbird,
Yeah,
parrots.
yeah.
I mean, these are birds.
Birds that
talk.
can mimic and talk. Yeah,
Just trying to protect the forest. What it's
I don't know.
Like it's came to.
I really don't know. I mean, like I said, there's stuff that's happened there that would blow your mind. It's amazing. It's stuff where you literally have to sit there for a little bit and go, God, man, did that happen? Wow. It's weird. But
Another thing too is are these considered in Native American mythology?
that's their description of them. Yeah.
Yeah, is it considered a vengeful spirit or aggressive at least?
If crossed, okay. So when I told my grandmother about the scream, and I told her the story of Howard, she literally said, "That's it's a Kachina. Don't mess with it. And if it's after him, he did something." And then when I brought up Wendigo to her, she didn't even want to talk about it. She's like, I'm not going to sit here and discuss Wendigo with you. We're not going there.
Like that was a 4-letter word.
It was. I mean, it literally. You bring up Wendigo to a Native American. It's not. You can talk Sasquatch all day. They'll laugh at you, because it's old news.
Right.
They don't. It ain't nothing new to them. You bring up Wendigo, to them that is not no joke. That's something you just don't mess with. And like I said that one day, when I got online and I started looking for stories, like encounters of Wendigo. I listened to about 4 or 5, and then it just dawned on me. I'm like, wait a minute. What? You don't survive a Wendigo encounter. Like, if you see a Wendigo, it's because you've been picked.
Right.
Your ass is grass after that. So I instantly was like, okay, I guess I'm done with these. And I literally, right off of that one, I was like, I guess that's kind of a dead end. I don't want to investigate that, because you don't want it investigating you. Right. But I don't know. I mean,
I'm just saying because hunting seemed like a natural thing, especially. What's about that land that spirit is protecting, if that's what it could be, or it could be something totally different.
It's I don't know. You know.
So like that, I'm just trying to like speculate on what it could be. Why it would be upset? Why is it upset for? At first, like you could make the argument, like how you were saying, the whole the Scream story.
Yeah.
Your grandmother said that it was a Kachina after him. Like
Yeah,
that could
she
be
said it
it's
was probably a Kachina. It's a spirit. It's
why did it say anything to that person?
right.
And why did it say to you? You said your distant cousin too.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't. I mean, honestly, I found it strange. It was a little bit hair raising, you know.
Oh
like,
yeah, definitely.
But I literally was like, I did one of those where I was like, nah, I'm not gonna let that bother me right now. Let's just, you know. It's funny too because I didn't even remember to think of it until you mentioned that happening to the the other guy.
Well, how old were you when your experience happened?
I think I was right around 21, 22.
See, that explains a lot too.
Something like that.
So, you're bulletproof when you're 21. You know what I mean? Like, you could take something that, this is an experience, like, this thing could possibly kill me. Nah, I'm 21.
Yeah.
You know, there's a definite difference in mentality in your teens and early 20s than there is, like, say, our age.
Going into that night, I can definitely confirm that, yeah, that's how I felt. Like the start of that night, even as the story was being told and consistently told, and I've heard people have mentioned this to me. Well, one, I don't remember who said it. I think actually it was you that said it to me. You said, Tyler goes, I didn't have the experience, but I've heard you tell it, and every time you tell it, it's word for word. He's like, it's always consistent. You never change anything about the story, or whatever. Nothing ever slips. He's like, I know that you experienced something because you can tell it's locked in. And I started thinking about that. You know what I mean? Like the whatever about it. And that's the case. It's because when at the beginning of the night, I went into it, as you say, bulletproof.
Yeah.
But all that shit went out the window when I heard that scream. When that scream happened, I was no longer bulletproof. I felt the feeling of mortality just like that.
Yeah.
I can feel it now, telling you. Like, I can literally feel what I felt then. It's weird to say that 20-something years removed, I can still feel what I felt that night.
Right.
If I heard it again, I don't think I'd handle it any better than I did last time.
Fair enough.
I feel like
Because the unknown is still there.
the unknown part of it's still there, and
Right.
there's also the part of my brain that always expects to hear it.
Right.
And that, unfortunately, I think is what Steve Isdell calls the club of no return. It's when that happens, you can't put your thumb on it. You don't know what the hell it was, what happened. All you know is that part of you is always on edge that it's going to happen again. And that part sucks ass.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, it really does because we don't know, like, especially like because you even like said this, you don't know what it was.
Yeah.
We
Never saw it.
We can't definitively say what type of cryptid that could have been.
Yeah.
That made that sound like. So, but a lot of people are on so many sides of the fence on Sasquatch or any of the all the other cryptids. Like, some of them say that Sasquatch is very, I guess, non-violent.
Yeah.
It's more territorial. It'll try to get you out of its area,
Yeah.
but it won't hurt you. Same for, Dogman. But some people say it will attack when it, I know there was a couple things I've heard where they actually attack Sasquatch.
I've heard that too.
So, it's kind of hard. So, you're always looking over your shoulder. You don't know who to, it's not even about trust anymore. It's about lack of information because we don't have it.
There's no consistency.
Yeah, there's no consistency.
I've got consistency with Sasquatch. I can admit that. At this point in the juncture, I've got about 80% consistencies and only about 20% wiggle room where I'm like, I don't know about that one.
So would you say if one day we actually came across a full-fledged sighting, it's almost touching,
Yeah.
would you feel comfortable with that there? You don't think it would be...
like knowing?
Yeah.
I
Like,
think
you-
I think
Are you on the side of them being kind of somewhat docile,
my thought is that
or you think they'll hurt us?
we fear the unknown, right?
Yeah.
So I don't feel like we need to interfere with their life. You know, if they are a people, I feel that there should be some respect and some dignity there. I just would like to know the boundaries a little bit.
Right.
Like, okay, you're there, and I'm here. Where do you want me to not be? And I'll leave that to you. I don't need to go and study you. I don't need to go and mess with you. I don't need to take pictures of you anymore. I now know that you're there, and I don't need to videotape you anymore. Where do I need to be to not be interfering with your life now? That's all I'm looking for. I'm not looking for... I don't want to be a guy who writes the book about this. I have no... I honestly have no ambition beyond what I'm saying right now. Just want to know for sure. Just want to know so I know what the scream meant. For all I know, the scream was saying, hey guys, can I have one of those beers? But I don't know. To me, it sounded like I'm literally going to eat you.
That would have been really mean because you guys actually grabbed the beer.
I did go back and get the cooler, yeah.
So you basically told him, if that was true, you told him to go fuck himself. It's like, no,
That's
you
what I'm
can't have
saying.
beer.
I don't know. I don't have the info in front of me. I want to know.
I know.
You know, it's if I'm going to go into a national forest, okay, well, we've got a little bit of a problem, folks, in the national forest of this country. The little problem is that apparently they are the new Bermuda Triangles. People are going in there with big groups of other people and vanishing into thin air. That's a problem. That's an issue. That's a quinky dink we need to work on, I think. So I need to know, you know, do you not want me to go into that forest? Because I can go to the zoo or the park instead.
Right.
I can change my plans. There's no need to snatch me.
Right.
I don't care if you're interdimensional. I don't care if you're, you know, living in a cave or burrowing underground. I don't care. It doesn't matter. I just need to know if I shouldn't take Grandma to that park, right? That's all I want to know. If that's the case, just let me know, and I'll just scurry my ass right down, and you know I'll buy a root beer float, and I'll just go my ass home. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna make an issue of it. I'm just gonna let it be. The problem is that we just don't know. We've got hundreds of years of passed down Native American history, for the most part, and this country's so great at listening to the Native Americans. You know, we're real good at that. And the Native Americans literally said, they're a tribe. We don't mess with them. We stay out of their areas. They stay out of ours. We just don't mix with them. If you hear whistling or sounds in the forest, you don't go out there. You know, they're good with it. They're like, yeah, we just don't mess with them, man. Nothing bad happens. We don't go screwing with them. You don't go messing with Sasquatch. You know what I mean?
Right.
Lewis and Clark literally have a Sasquatch encounter in their journals. They
Really?
saw him. Well, I mean, that's one of the earliest ones that we have, you know, where we saw him and go, oh, wow. You know, what was the one I heard of? They were like what was the old wagon, you know, the wagon trail thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The old game, you know what I'm talking about?
Oregon Trail.
Oregon Trail. You know,
Yeah.
the old wagoneers, they used to go out and they'd go west in a big wagon train, right? And they had a story of what they called the stick people. They were called the stick people because they were large, hairy men and females, and they were throwing sticks at the wagons. So guess what? They didn't go that way anymore. They were like, hey, you know, we could pass through the mountain right here. It's quicker, but you know the stick people are up there, so we're just gonna go down and around. It'll take us an extra day, but I don't think they want us up there. Back then, it was just easier. It was literally easier to say like, hey man, Josh, you know, if you're going that way, dude, go down by the river instead because that's where the Sasquatch is. Man, they'll just mess up your wagon. Oh, okay, man.
That's a nice wagon, man. You don't want to.
I know you just got it, man, and they'll scratch that thing all to hell.
And he would love you for that because he would be
His
like,
wagon would be all right.
yeah, he's like, you're a good friend.
And
you
you
let me
don't
know.
want to change a wagon wheel with Sasquatches throwing shit at you.
Right.
That just sucks. I'm saying, like, back then, this shit was literally, it was a part of life. It was like, okay, we have these wild men. We have this wild tribe. The Native Americans knew it, you know. The old mountain men knew it. The cowboys knew it. You know, the frontiersmen, they knew it. Now we just don't. Now we're like, nah. There's no way. Mountain lions got all, like, 7,000 of those people who disappeared in the last few years from the national parks. It was mountain lions. Folks, we have the hungriest mountain lions in the whole world. We must have millions of them. Because people are going missing at an alarming rate.
There's a whole page dedicated to that, isn't it? Like a website.
Yeah, what is it?
Missing 411.
Missing 411. Yeah. I mean, the one person out there said, well, people are falling into holes. Okay, look, you know, maybe we need a national park somewhere different. This place is full of holes.
I will, speaking of holes, this is the terrible thing is, that's actually a thing.
The holes to hell or whatever.
Yeah, like in Hawaii and stuff, because they're called lava tubes.
That sucks.
They say that
that sounds terrible.
Oh, it sounds horrible.
Yeah.
It's not a place to picnic.
No.
I can't remember how they said it happens. Like the lava starts to form, basically these tubes underground. Like underground, they are like perfect because I guess the outside will start to crust over, and then like once they're encased, it just basically makes this tube, and they can flow anywhere around, basically wherever it erupted. So
that's horrible.
I feel like I'm getting a lot of the science wrong with this, but
somebody will chime in. Somebody will let us know. I mean,
there are lava tubes that basically hit in caverns, and over time, like foliage and stuff will start to grow over these holes. So basically, you'll be mowing your lawn, not knowing.
Oh my God!
Like, because there was actually a video I saw. Guy said like he was gone for months from his house, and they said that the neighbors saw him, just like saw his back 40. It's like, oh man, it's overgrown. So he's out there. He's doing the old way, like machete.
Dude fell in a lava hole, didn't he?
Dude, literally, like, because I guess his family could not find what happened to him. Like, he just got back home from whatever he was doing, and then next you know, they said that cops went in. No one was in the house. They saw there was a hole. Like, they said they started to see a hole and gardening tools right next to it. And they literally, the guys started to walk and got to the edge, and it like started to crumble, and then finally a bigger, like a whole hole opened up, and there he was, about 20 feet down.
Oh my God! So you just solved the missing 411, is what you're telling me?
I don't know
the
about
national forests are full of lava holes.
I don't know.
I'm just kidding around, but seriously, that's scary as hell.
That's terrifying. That's worse than a sinkhole.
That is.
What type of volcanoes that have erupted around here in the last?
You think too is like we're from the 80s, so quicksand terrifies us.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Quicksand is, and it's all because of the never-ending story. I mean,
right.
Being honest,
that's a lot of it. Yeah.
I never understood the term quicksand because it's not quick.
It's not, but man,
no,
that's what it wants you to think.
From the 80s, we were absolutely mortified of quicksand and setting ourselves on fire.
Quicksand was everywhere. When you were out playing, quicksand was going to be there somewhere. You just had to be vigilant at all times. Keep your eyes peeled.
Yeah.
I never seen any quicksand. Not even once. We got lucky.
I've never seen quicksand.
We just got lucky, man.
Yeah.
Somebody out there did.
But, right.
With
we were one of the lucky few.
With the national parks, I think.
Is this the maid talking?
It might be.
It might be. This meat is wonderful. Josh, I'm going to take you up on another
Absolutely.
Drink. That's
Take your pick.
okay. It's really hard to pick between the two, folks. I just want you to know that. Let's say a little bit more of that one.
But
I'm gonna
yeah,
try the old hob again. Sorry, Ty.
Oh, you're good. Well, with with these national parks, there's definitely an underlying thing there because not everyone's falling in a hole or being attacked by a bobcat or mountain lion. So I feel like that's a given. Like you can't just say like, hey, all these people fell down a hole, got attacked by a mountain lion, and then the leftovers was eaten by a bobcat or something of that nature. And then
a very dramatic event.
And then a meteor hit them. Then they fell down a lava tube.
Here's something though with like the whole missing 411 in the national parks. You guys are my house. I mean, I've got one bar of service right now.
Right.
What about you guys?
I'm on Crockett, so I always have one bar.
Yeah.
It's pretty much business as usual.
Right.
I got 3.
You got 3 bars. You're doing excellent. I bet you all 3 of us could pull up our GPSs with one bar and make it work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you would think.
You follow me on this, where I'm going with this?
Right.
I would understand the missing 411 issue if it was 40 years ago.
Right.
Map and compass times. But you can literally buy GPS devices that work off satellites for the forest where there's no cell reception.
Yeah, I mean that's absolutely true.
Like, how are you getting lost and disappearing?
Yeah.
Unless you're just not going prepared. Like, assuming that it's like a Rambo movie and you're just going to walk and walk, find a river and walk, and you're going to find your way out. Because I do get that. There's a lot of arrogant people that think they could handle the forest, you know. But even the American forest system is super, super dangerous for people that don't know what they're doing just because of exposure.
You know, the one of the missing 411. I watched the last one I watched was called Missing 411: The Hunted. Or was it Hunted or Hunters? I can't remember. But on that one, there's one guy who the Hunted.
The Hunt.
The Hunt. It might be the Hunt.
I think it's the Hunt.
But one guy on there, he went by horseback with 2 other buddies up into the mountains. They were gonna go hunting, and something had happened. He had to go and get his spare clothes. He had a cache up a trail to the left. He said that he was gonna walk it, and it would take him about half a day to get up there, get his stuff, and come back. He never showed back up. All right, he literally, he was supposed to check in with them every so often, and he just never did. And they said what was weird about it is that he was the guy that basically showed them where everything was. He could walk the whole thing, you know. The dude was like, he was a living map of this mountain range, right? Not only did he not go to the cache, but he went the opposite direction, apparently, stopped. His weapon was nice and neat laying on the ground next to his clothes. And then, months and months later, a farmer all the way, I want to say it was the north side or something like that. It was the other side of the mountain, found his backpack nice and neat sitting next to a tree on his property. And then a skull was found on the other side of the mountain.
Wow.
And when you're watching this and you're hearing this and it's like, okay, was any of this embellished? You know, and so I get online, I start digging myself. Nope, it's pretty fact for fact, right? And you can't help but think like, okay, what the hell happened? What the hell happened to this guy? You know, and almost every one of these stories, not all, but most of them, there's some kind of weird weather system thing that happens, either during or right after. It's always consistent, you know. It starts off normal, a couple days go by, things are weird, then the weather system thing happens. Some kind of intense weather change, right? So I don't understand it. It baffles me. I want to understand it. I want to know more. I wish I could just sit there and look through the evidence just laid out on a table. But it's weird, and it keeps happening. It just keeps happening. And then there's the sound thing. Several of the people that have been with other people that disappeared described hearing metallic clank sounds. Loud clank. And they hear it, and they don't know what it is, and their person is gone. Just gone. No trace, you know. One old-timer he went missing, and he was with like 7 other people. They didn't even find his gun. They didn't find anything. He vanished, you know. What the hell's going on out there, you know? It's scary. You know?
Yeah.
There was one. I think it was same people.
Yeah.
I think it was, or no. I think I know. I think what's his name? Survivor Man.
Yeah.
He came back and he kind of went back over it.
Oh yeah, he retraced the footsteps of a child.
Yeah, a child, but the child miles away from his house.
Yeah.
How old do you think? Like 3, 4?
Yeah, he was real little.
Like,
the guy's still alive too. The child, he's an old man now, but he's still alive.
Yeah, and they found him. Like they said that they found him laying down in the dirt, motionless, and then they finally came to him, and like they thought the father was like thought he was dead. He thought the worst. Yeah. He thought he was dead. Something got him, and come over. He's just hi, Dad. Like
he said something carried him.
Yeah, something carried. Didn't he say it was Harry too?
Oh, yeah. Okay. I think I've heard some of this story.
Yeah.
And Survivor Man went back over the trails and stuff, and like this to kind of like clarify and let people know. It was tough for him to track.
Yeah, he was trying to do it, and he
it was tough for him,
time.
and this was a child.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta understand, even back then, I'm not gonna say any, like, there's tough motherfuckers back then.
Sure.
But this is a child, though. Like,
right.
Most of the time, they'll walk for a while, and then they'll be like, I'm tuckered out.
Yeah.
I want a nap.
Yeah, you halfway through the zoo, you're carrying your kids, yeah.
Yeah, so...
Let alone miles of the wilderness.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm, like, saying. It's like something had to carry this, and you can't say it was some type of, like, predator, like a bobcat or something like that, because it would have totally...
And that's not the only story of something like that either. Isn't there another story about a 6-year-old boy that was lost in the woods, and they found him sitting on the side of the road? The sheriff did, like 5 miles from his house, and he was like the hairy man. The hairy man got me here.
Yeah. There was another one too from the missing 411 where a child was missing, and they got to a point where they had the search dogs. It was cool because it was cool, but it was I can't help it. It was kind of chilling to hear it. Mm-hmm. One of the ladies who was in the search, she had the search hound, said that all the dogs stopped at this one area. There was a real bad fog, and the dogs literally would not go any further. They all stopped and they wouldn't move. They were tails between their legs. They would not go any further. And she said that they were all freaked out because you know what I mean? It's like, dude, you know how it is. You got a dog, you're like, dude, if he's scared,
yeah.
What the hell's out there?
Well, I can't. My dog's kind of a big sissy.
Well, I mean, just saying, if your dog comes in and he's terrified of something, shaking and tail between his legs,
mm-hmm.
It's gonna make you.
Oh yeah, out here it gets real dark, and sometimes we'll get halfway up the driveway with him, and he'll stop and just stare into the distance.
Yeah,
and then he's ready to come back to the house.
Right,
and he don't want to go any further.
Yeah,
and it's like,
okay, man, he's
all
trusting
right.
his gut. He's like, something's out there. I don't want to mess with it.
Right,
but then the child comes walking out of the fog, naked, and that was that. That was it. And they don't understand it. When the child came walking out of the fog, it freaked them out just as bad.
I would imagine so, yeah.
Because it was like, you know, what are we seeing here? You know, it's like the cow looking in the window at you.
Yeah.
It's not what you're expecting, you know.
Yeah, that initial shock is enough to make you lose sight of what reality is.
Yeah.
You know, you don't know. That's the thing is when you're in a situation like that, how much are you actually absorbing?
Right.
You know, what did you
Oh, yeah.
miss? What's in your peripheral you didn't see because you were so focused on the thing that freaked you out?
Right. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I don't know.
and how much of it do you forget?
Probably a lot.
Because you know, like after I did the initial podcast, when it went on Facebook and I shared it so other people could watch it,
Yeah.
there were people and my friends that were reminding me of stuff that we witnessed together that I had just forgotten. And I
Yeah.
was like, I didn't even. Oh my God, I totally forgot this even happened. You know, this was
Sure, yeah.
28 years ago.
Oh yeah.
But you and I both grew up on farms.
Yep.
Mine was over here, and the lights in the skies are what got me.
Yeah.
So they reminded me of stories of being out there in the middle of the pasture. It was a 50-acre hayfield. 7 of us standing out there. And one of us looked up and seen a light hovering over and then shooting off into the distance.
Yeah.
Now, keep in mind, my place that I grew up on was in a direct flight path from somewhere down south to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base.
Right.
Because every time they would do the air show at Wright-Pat, I remember being a little kid obsessed with World War II planes. I'd take a blanket or something and go out when I knew that they were going to fly through. I'd go out there and lay out there in the hayfield and watch all these old planes fly over. It was amazing.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
So there was a lot of planes that flew over my place. And, you know, the lights always happened at night.
Right.
But I guess I just kind of put some of it out of memory, like sitting out there and
Yeah, it does.
seeing lights hover and then shoot off. But nothing was ever as close as like the video that I sent you guys.
Oh,
Nothing
yeah.
nothing was ever down that low.
I can remember sitting. I was sitting out in the front yard at my parents' house when I was younger with an old girlfriend, you know, and we were just laying in the grass looking up, and we saw this green light literally go across the sky and turn around in a U-turn and go back the other way.
Yeah, and my light was green too, actually.
Yeah.
It was. We were standing out there in the middle of the field, and the field was surrounded by woods.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like a field and then roads and houses. It was our 100-acre farm butted up to this 200-acre farm, butted up to this 400-acre farm.
Yeah.
There was nothing out there. Absolutely nothing. You know, you could shoot guns at 2 o'clock in the morning
yeah.
and nobody would even know you were out there because it was far enough away, you know. And the green light came across and just kind of hovered in the middle over the field over us. No, it was thousands of feet up. It wasn't down low, like it wasn't glowing on us or anything like that, but it was way up there and just shot off into the distance. Like, no plane stops.
Yeah.
And it just, bing,
They don't
gone.
U-turn.
Yeah.
You know, it was weird, but even at the time, me and her were laying there, and we even made the joke, like, oh, it's a UFO. And thinking back later, it's like, that was kind of weird, though. I mean, the thing did do a U-turn. That's
Right.
kind of strange.
Right, and that's exactly what it was for us at the time, is like not even thinking about what it actually was.
Right.
It was, oh, it's a UFO. We just made the joke. Oh, it's aliens. They're coming.
Yeah,
Like
it's
they
aliens.
don't want us. We're down here being dumb, drinking beer in the field. You know.
Yeah. I don't know. Earlier you'd mentioned the ladies being abducted and radiated and all that. UFO abduction, and you were saying, like, I don't know what the whole point of all that was or whatever. I actually was earlier this week. I was thinking about that. Now, the whole thing that started was I saw an ad come across my feed where it was you could basically buy it was like a bracelet or something for someone you love, and it had a little number on it, and you go on this website and you type it in, and it was a tag for a sea turtle, and it would show you where the turtle is in the ocean. So you would give that, to somebody. And I started thinking about that, and there's people who's talked about getting experimented on, even implants. And I started thinking, like, well, shit, they're doing the same thing that we do to animals we're trying to study.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're tagging us.
Right.
They're pro fishermen. Think about it.
Right.
I think I figured this out. It's an intergalactic tournament. They've got their sponsors. They show up on Earth. They go fishing. Whoever bags the most impressive one wins the tournament.
And that's why the ships are just like bass boats.
Yeah, and
The
then
fastest one wins.
the ones that don't come back, well, those were the trophies, weren't they? Yeah,
Those got mounted.
Those got mounted. So think about that for a second, folks. What if it's all just a big bass tournament and we're the fish? I don't know. I might not. I don't think I'm qualified to make opinions about UFOs.
Do you think
I
it's
think I
going to
just disqualified myself.
would you think that they would do the same thing? I remember the story you told me. You actually went to an actual tournament with fish in your well.
I didn't have any fish in my well. My
Oh, yeah,
my
you
wells
had beer.
were full of beer.
You had in your
The
live
guy,
wells.
the guy had to check your live wells before the tournament starts, and he opens up all of the live wells, and they're all stuffed with ice and beers. And he's like, "Man, you're not very optimistic, are you?" I was like, "Man, I mean, no,
Beer.
it's only $20 to enter the tournament. I mean, I'm only here for fun anyway, so whatever, you know."
Like, that's a good one. I could just.
By the end of the night, I did not have any fish, but I did have a couple cleaned out live wells. They had some ice in them still, but that was it.
That's great.
But other than that, like, do you really believe? Like, I know you probably don't believe that, but
I don't know.
do you have any other speculation on why they would radiate you?
Look, man, I'm literally, I feel like the show is gonna move into those topics, and I'm totally good with it. But I feel like at this point I'm so invested. I'm probably gonna be like the resident Bigfoot guy. I mean, I've got a lot of time invested in this big asshole, and I really feel like most of my UFO ideas are kind of dumb. You know, like the bass tournament idea. But
Yeah.
hey, I mean, look at my consistency. I mean, there's they take people, they tag them, they throw them back.
I mean,
Imagine-
that's tracking
Dude.
sharks, tracking sea turtles.
Imagine you're a bass, okay? You're in a lake. Check this out, okay? I know this is going to be a stretch. I realize that going in. I know I'm asking a lot here. You're a bass. You're swimming around, or well, if you want to get technical, you're waiting in your ambush place because you're a bass, and that's what bass like to do. All right. All of a sudden, this little creature comes swimming by you, and you're like, God damn, that looks good. I'm not sure. Maybe I won't eat that. That's kind of suspicious. It comes across again, and you're like, it looks pretty good, though. Finally, you get so mad because the thing just keeps going past you. You're like, I'm killing this goddamn thing. Bam! You hit it. All of a sudden, you're lifted up into the sky, out into another world you didn't even know existed. And you're looking at these strange creatures while they stare at you, and they hold you up, and they examine you. And you're sitting there like, what is going on? And you're traumatized. And then when they throw you back in, you swim back to your friends, and you try to tell them, and nobody believes you.
They had to pull the probe out of your mouth, too.
They did. They pulled the probe out of my mouth. Hurt like hell. I've got a hole in my cheek. How did I get that, Jerry? And Jerry's like, you're so full of shit, Billy. I saw the mothership. You didn't see nothing, man.
It was bright and sparkly and had lights on
You
it.
were swimming in the meth water again. You see how I brought that back?
It's full
I
circle.
felt like full circle on that
Full
one.
circle. That was good.
I thank you.
But if you need resident alien guy, I just need a little time, and I can keep trying to get all the stuff together.
Hell yeah.
Because I've got all kinds of stuff that I've been looking at, and started digging into the CIA documents that were released on CIA.gov, and yeah, it's
Well, have you heard anything like jumping out about it? I mean, have you seen anything that just blew you? I know you sent us the video.
So that video wasn't even from that. That's the crazy part. That was from that Homesteader channel.
Let me tell the folks out there the video so they can check it out too.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let me go back here.
And like I said before we started recording, if this is a fake, it's the most glorious fake I've ever seen.
Okay, the video that Josh sent to me and Tyler was called UFO Sighting Caught on Camera, Montello, Wisconsin, June 13th, 2021. And it says 4 shots. So put all that in your search bar. You'll find it.
It's Homestead something, isn't that what it is? It's a homesteader channel, so they're not even a UFO channel.
I'll tell you what else I'll do is, just in case I jumbled that real bad, I will go ahead and share this to the Facebook page as well. I'll just eliminate as much error as I can. But you sent us the video.
Yeah.
I thought I watched it, but after seeing it a little bit ago, I know I didn't see it. It's pretty incredible.
It's absolutely incredible, and it's 4 snapshots of the night sky and the lights, everything. Like I said, if it's a fake, it's one of the best fakes I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's awesome.
I was sitting there watching it, and me and Tyler were sitting there watching on my phone, and I just didn't know what to think of it. It gives you a really good close up too.
Yeah.
It's odd. It looks like, to me, it looked like, I don't know, like a boat with a bunch of seats in it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was weird.
And you notice when they're doing the video, they just took 4 snapshots and played them as a video. And when they do it kind of fast in rapid succession, you can see the lights strobing. The orange lights on top look like they're strobing. It's so wild.
It's incredible. I could see it too. The lights as he plays the 4 shots, you can see the lights actually moving. It's pretty wild. It's pretty compelling, honestly. I've seen some UFO videos before. I've seen a couple things, and there's also been a lot of videos where it was like lights moving around like crazy. I've seen those. The Starlink thing came up recently.
Yeah.
There was somebody had sent me that stuff. Like, hey, we just saw this. We shot it out to the constant listeners. Man, they were right back with, hey, that's Starlink. Check this out. Here's this. Here's this. So
yeah, there's a few like that. There's another one. It was when the Starlink was being launched.
Yeah.
That the other adjacent cities didn't know what was going on, and they just seen this bright white thing shooting off into the sky, and everybody was, posting videos on YouTube. What is this? What is this? And it was actually that Starlink being launched into space. But that particular video that I sent to you guys, the pictures, it's compelling as hell.
It's wild. Like I said, I'm definitely by no means. I'm not a UFO expert in any. I'm way out of touch.
Right.
But I blame it all on Sasquatch.
Right. And I am definitely not an expert by any stretch of the imagination, but it interests me, and every chance I get, I dig, and I don't have a whole lot of time to dig, but when I do, I'm in it deep.
Yeah.
As soon as the document's released, and as soon as I found the CIA website and started searching through there, I think I even told you this. I went through and I picked 2 randoms, just 2 random documents, and one was in 1996 and one was in 1978.
Yeah.
And they were 2 countries apart. It was like the USSR and somewhere on the other side coming into Europe. I forget which country it was. Both encounters, the lights that were seen, the descriptions of both of it was almost identical.
Wow.
And they were 30 years apart, 20 years apart, whatever it was.
Okay, that's kind of interesting because you would think if it was man-made that in 30 years it would change.
Right.
We went from wagons to, vehicles and airplanes.
Right. But it was, and the weird thing about it was too is I'll have to dig everything up so you can put it on like a little synopsis or whatever on the Facebook page.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just like randos. These were like law enforcement that saw this, and these are the documents from their encounter where they saw the lights in the skies flying over the city. The description of the craft that was doing the lights were almost identical in both. And like I said, one is from 96 and one is from like 78.
Yeah.
I'll have to dig up everything and send it to you.
Oh, that's pretty wild. Yeah, I think the last real big UFO thing that I ever looked into was that underwater structure.
Right.
It has like the staircase built on it, and it literally looks like it's on a runway. You remember that one?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's off the coast of Cuba, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We talked about that before.
That was the only one I really looked into. That one fascinated me.
Right.
Because I'm sitting there looking at it like, dude, come look at that. That's a spaceship.
Yeah.
And they're like, man, it's not really a spaceship though. It's just like, it's like the face on Mars.
Yeah.
They're like, well, it's just a shadow. Like, yeah, it's a shadow that looks like a face. They're like, yeah, but it's just a shadow. I'm like, it has eyes and a nose.
Right.
Nah, but it's like it's like the way the light hits it. Okay, the light hits its nose and it makes a shadow. It's a face.
Right.
I'm not an expert, but it's a face. You know what I mean? If there's a million people that can tell me there's faces in pictures of bushes, that's a face.
Right.
On Mars. Why?
Right.
You remember the obelisk stuff that was going around a couple years back? They kept finding these like strange pillar structures here on Earth and out on planets. They keep like finding them. They keep spotting them. This was a big thing a couple years back, and then all of a sudden it's just media silent, like nothing about it. But I'm sure you can dig it up.
I don't remember. I know that there was a big thing about petroglyphs, I guess, where they were finding like things carved into the surface of like deserts and things like that.
See, that always made me wonder too. There's like, what is it in Peru? The gigantic pictures.
Yeah,
that are
the birds and things like that are carved into they're just walked into the desert. Like, who is that for? You have to be high enough up to appreciate it.
I mean, dude, give me a piece of paper and watch me struggle to do a straight line.
Right.
And these are gigantic images on the ground that you can't even, like you said, you can't appreciate it unless you go way the hell up in a mountain or something, or up in the air and look down.
Yeah.
But even back then, even if that's what happened, they were like, well, let's make something we can go up on the mountain and look at. I mean, you lay a few stones, don't you kind of gotta stop and
go back up
and check to see if you need to.
Little to the right.
That's what I'm saying.
To the left.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Hey, you're the big. Oh God, he can't hear me. The big rock. No. Oh God, he moved the wrong one. The other one. He can't hear me. He can't hear. This is gonna take forever. And it probably did.
Right.
I don't know.
Most of them probably say, "What else do we have to do?"
Yeah.
Right. So you've got all these pictures carved into rock and walked through the desert and stacked rocks and
ancient Egyptians with apparently perfect geometry.
Well, not only that, they had batteries.
And they had the Baghdad batteries.
Yeah, like the Middle East had batteries. How?
I can see fumbling onto this stuff, because you may make a single cell battery out of just random materials, but depending,
what was it for?
Yeah, what was it for? What did it power?
Exactly. You can make a battery out of a potato, but you have to know that you can make it because you have to have something to power it.
Like, what if what I kept thinking is, again, I'm probably going to disqualify myself from the round table of UFO stuff in the future, but what if somebody landed and they needed a jump start to get back out of here? And when they were like, hey, you guys are really primitive, but I can show you how to make these. I need 700 of them. And the people were like, dude, it's the gods.
Right.
We have to build these. So they're like, let's make a bunch of these for them. And they made 700 of them. And they jump started these aliens back into space.
So, there's if you look at some of the hieroglyphs, what am I saying that right? The hieroglyphs in Egypt.
I think so. Yeah, hieroglyph.
Were there pictures of what looks like electric cables and giant light bulbs? And they're holding the giant light bulbs at the guy that's sitting in the weird dish chair with the hood over it. There's that part.
You mean the spaceship?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it looks like a spaceship, and it looks like these guys with getting ready to jumpstart him.
Right.
But there's also a theory that
I just made all that up before too. Is that real? Really?
Yeah. So there's also a theory that the pyramids are not just tombs, but they're also charging stations.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they said that something. If you got when they got into the center of one of the pyramids, water was actually running up, going up the side of the of the cavern, because I guess because I guess it was doing a weird magnetic thing where it was changing gravity inside of it. I think I'm wrong on that.
If it's doing that shit, then this we're.
But they did say that they found
stuff.
they found like cables, like I can't remember what they used for the conductors. I think it might have been copper, but
Copper. I mean, we still use it. So,
Yeah, so-
They
I-
had gold.
oh yeah,
They
yeah.
had tons of gold. The tops of the
So-
pyramids were covered in gold.
Gold is a really
Superconductor.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
That's what my adapter from my headphones is. That's gold.
a nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, like
That's
that could
fancy,
they could
right?
have used gold. I don't like, but that's the thing too. Is like, where did they like?
Oh yeah, motherboards, chipsets. They still have gold in those. Yeah, it's
Gold, yeah, gold is a superconductor. So if they had gold caps, and that's the thing is gold was shiny and valuable, but it's not like it is for us.
Well, you got to think about the current that has to would go through to charge something like that. It would melt pretty. Like if it needed to charge something, wouldn't it melt that? Like they only sit like gold is only used for small faults, like small like frequency, like little bursts.
yeah. I don't. That's,
Like, 'cause
to
if
me,
you
that's-
use if
that's
you put a
way
lot
outside
of
my realm
you-
of.
I felt like if you put a lot of amps through gold,
Yeah.
it would actually get too hot because what's the melting point of gold?
I mean, it's not very high.
Yeah.
It's got a super low.
Yeah,
Because
that's
it's malleable
Yeah.
right off the bat. You can actually shape it
Yeah,
without.
you can shape it cold.
Yeah, you can shape it cold.
well, yeah, that's the whole theory behind alchemy. Is it's like it's one. Isn't it like one molecule off of being lead?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's to me though. It's kind of funny that you brought that up because I'm like no kidding. Literally just made all that stuff up. You know, as a joke, basically.
Yeah.
And that is, I mean, it's amazing. That to me sounds probable. Like if somebody crash landed, somebody crash landed and they're like, hey, we're kind of stuck, fellas, but there's these guys, I think we can get them to help us. They think we're like gods or something. Let's just talk to them. And then we use our minds to talk to them. And that made it even, if you're standing there in your primitive culture and something speaks into your mind, you're oh my God, this is
Right.
this is something from this is God. This is the gods. Chariot of the gods. You know what I mean?
Another thing too is what about? But they don't depict them unless these like
The pyramids aren't the pyramids aimed at Orion's belt or something, or some
Something like
stars or something.
They're
well yeah
like,
what was it the three pyramids like line up with Ryan's belt.
Yeah,
and
something
they're-
like that.
And they're almost exactly perfect, like square oriented to longitude and latitude or something like that too, aren't they? It's crazy how accurately they were placed.
Yeah, another thing too is like I know there's still a lot of speculation about how they were built, and a lot of people come back to like, well, it was just simple manpower. It was manpower over generations, but I can't think of a single thing that would get that many people to work together on something for that long, outside of some external thing, something bigger than life.
Well, you got to think too, like that's what the pharaohs were, like the kings.
Yeah,
They were basically what
they were god kings.
Yeah, they
and
were- they were-
queens. Yeah.
they were like descendants or actually like the closest to the gods.
Yeah, what was it? A demigod? Is that what you call that?
I think so. That's
Yeah.
got to be close to it, if not it.
Yeah.
I mean,
like the whole demigod is like Xerxes.
I think
from
a
the whole
demigod is
300.
Nephilim. It's the same thing as it's
Yeah.
like the equivalent, like it's the Greek equivalent of the Nephilim.
yeah.
It's
I
a
wonder
god.
too is like some of their depictions too of like some of the creatures that they believed in. You know what I mean? Especially like the dog-headed. What is the name of it again?
The Sphinx,
Not the Sphinx, but the other one.
Anubis,
Anubis. Yeah.
the god. Well, I think he's not. No, that's Osiris. Osiris is the god of the underworld. Anubis is the guardian. Like he's the gatekeeper
Gotcha.
of death.
Gotcha. Okay.
He's like the Grim Reaper of their
It's
mythology.
It's interesting though. Is like how many different creatures they drew.
Right.
I saw a cave painting. I was actually looking at these cave paintings that this guy was making. He was showing a case for basically prehistoric man and Sasquatch stuff, and he was showing like all these animals. Right? He was like, you look at this cave painting from millions of years ago, and he's like, that's a deer.
Yeah,
that is a deer.
You're going for the they saw it, they drew it. They saw it,
And
they
then
drew it.
He literally's like, here's a buffalo, and he's like, here's this, whatever animal this is, and then there's this like big, tall, hairy man, and he's like, well, come on, like these guys, you know what I mean? Like they're prehistoric, man. They weren't quite to the whole like, what if there's a dude that's like, they weren't to that yet. They were like, man, I'm hungry. I'm gonna go kill that thing and eat it.
So you're like, in a way, like they didn't have imagination yet.
Yeah,
I get like nothing like. But then that goes again.
We're talking back before like, like the very beginning of sexual dimorphism, where females started to become like more, fair. You know what I mean? Like the term fair, like the feminine qualities, like the women were like just as brutish as the men were. They were tough. They were, built similar. They were,
Yeah, that's our body hair.
It's like, yeah,
our body hair is actually a layover of that.
Yeah.
There's a reason why the pubic hair on men and women are shaped different. It's so that you could tell what you saw from a distance. Seriously, that's a layover from that era. Is men's pubic hair is square, women's is kind of V-shaped. It's so that when you were standing at a distance and you saw another creature, you knew whether it was a possible threat or a possible mate.
Wow. That's crazy. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that
that's
either.
Wild.
I thought it was more of the scent, like because.
And that only works if you're in the correct
close.
wind.
Yeah. Oh yeah, true.
That's another thing too. Is like, I mean, as far as like cave paintings, and there is an argument out there like, well, they just drew shit. They just drew stuff. You know what I mean? Like they drew it. They made up stuff. They drew stuff. But it's like, okay, but 99% of the stuff they drew was stuff that they did or saw. Like, here's mammoths. Here's them hunting mammoths. Here's them hunting and throwing spears at stuff.
Yeah, it was the story of the hunts. It was the stories to hand down to the next
Yeah.
lineage so they could remember it.
Yeah, it was like their book.
It's not a different than we do with our timelines on Facebook or whatever.
Sure.
It's.
And I'm like, this is a primitive hominid, a primitive human, who, one of his least chief concerns is where he's gonna poop later. It doesn't matter. He might literally poop right there next to where he's drawing because he's in the middle of his drawing. He doesn't want to stop. I'm saying is like the imagination thing, right? The imagination and conscious and what do you call it? Constructive thinking and then abstract thinking, all that stuff. These are things that were just starting. They weren't even in their like fledgling states yet. They were like the seeds of these. And I'm like, okay, here's a buffalo. Here's him throwing a spear at a buffalo. That's pretty straightforward. One's a buffalo, the other one's him throwing a spear at the buffalo. That tells me everything I need to know. He wanted to throw a spear, or he did throw a spear at that buffalo, and they ate that buffalo. Good for him. And then, maybe he made some clothes out of the buffalo. I don't know what he did. And then here's another one where it's, they showed some mammoths back there, and they were going to try to scare a mammoth off a cliff and, eat it. You know what I mean? Or whatever they're going to do with it. And then here's like an 8-foot tall hairy man standing there. Where did the idea come from? That he was just like, I'm gonna draw guys a lot bigger than the other guys in the village, and I'm gonna make him hairy, and I'm gonna go get the other guys and tell them to look at it.
If there was more, like I would say, if there was more, like how many have you saw of these cave paintings that
I've seen a couple. There's a couple different ones.
I was actually like, if it was like one, I could think that it might have been a homage to a
big dude,
a respected warrior, because you just said like clothing and stuff.
Yeah,
and he was just
covered.
He was decked out like in his war gear,
the full suit.
But why, like, if it was a warrior?
Bill Brasky from
he was dapper.
Do you remember the Bill Brasky skit from Saturday Night Live? Yeah. Bill Brasky. He was the baddest, the biggest, the meanest. Yep. Everybody talked about him like he was the Barney Man giant. Maybe because you would embellish somebody that's.
But if it was a warrior, why wouldn't he added weapons or something of this nature? So
Yeah, this
why
dude
is it
had
just
no weapons,
had
right?
nothing in it? So, and you said it was cross multiple cave paintings too. So,
Oh yeah, there's lots of them.
so like that's what I'm saying is like there has to be some type of like the connection is the consistencies in the paintings, but so you can't say it was like it was a like that was their king, their what was it, tribal elder or something like that. He was massive.
Could have been their chief. Yeah,
their
that's
chieftain,
true.
but you could say that, but why wouldn't they and through all like history of like those like primitive cultures and stuff, they always depict their kings, the higher warriors and stuff, holding weapons, looking massive.
That is true. They always
so-
deck them out.
They deck them out, but
Yeah.
so why wouldn't they do that for this?
Well, and that's human nature now too. If you look at kids' drawings,
Yeah.
the biggest person in the picture is the most important person to that kid.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't know. I mean, to me, when I was looking at it, I was like, okay, what I was getting around to was I saw that, thought it was interesting, but there's also cave paintings of weird shapes in the sky.
Mm-hmm. And it's everywhere.
And I'm like, when I see that, I'm like, dude, these guys, they drew shit they saw.
They drew people flying.
They literally drew people flying. Like, I could totally see what Tyler was saying there, too. They drew their big chief guy. You know, he's big, he's tough, he's the baddest. Let's draw him. Let's make him look important. You know, he's important. He's awesome. You know, go Dave. You know,
Chief Dave.
Chief Dave, right? But then, why a flying saucer? Like,
Right.
why a spaceship? What did you know what I mean? I mean, your bird pictures is pretty. I mean, it looks like a bird.
Right.
What the hell's that?
Well, even with the Egyptian stuff, you know, the creatures with the eagle heads.
Yeah.
That looks like an eagle.
Yeah.
The person sitting in a helicopter looking thing is a
Yeah.
person sitting in a helicopter looking thing.
Yeah, I've seen that
And
one.
the Egyptians had enough intelligence to build the pyramids.
Protein?
Yeah. Sorry.
Did you get a garage critter?
Yeah, it went right in my mouth. Like I watched it, like
He's like, dude, a cave.
I want to see cave paintings.
He's
Oh no, that's just
he's in there.
gingivitis.
He's in there drawing Denny right now.
All stoic.
Looking out with an eagle. Yeah.
Right?
No, but I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I've seen that picture too. The helicopter.
It looks like a helicopter.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm just saying, I'm like, how's that gonna like
But
hit
these-
warp?
But the Egyptians were not primitive. Not
Right.
in the same regard as
Yeah.
as Neanderthal or Australopithecus or something. The Egyptians had records.
Right.
They had society.
That's
It's
true,
like the
yeah.
whole thing with the pyramids is that everybody, over time, and everybody always says because of the Bible or whatever, that it was built by slaves. It's not. It wasn't built by slaves.
Right.
The amount of craftsmanship that went into that was built by artisans, by true craftsmen, by people who cared about their craft, that learned how to build them. Slaves don't take the time to learn how to do this stuff before they're enslaved.
Usually they're not instructed either. I mean, it's literally
Yeah, because you don't
do
want to
manual
teach.
labor.
You don't want to like that was like always in everything with like your slaves. They were manual labor.
Well, I'm in construction, and I can tell you right now that I would not put a laborer on something that I need a journeyman carpenter on.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay,
I'm not going to
yeah.
take a laborer and have him case out a door.
Right.
You know?
It makes sense to me.
You
I
don't-
Yeah,
mean,
you wouldn't like
yeah.
back like I was saying like back then. I don't think you would teach that kind of skill. I
Yeah.
feel like you would teach it to if it is a slave. I think if like they were getting to that point or something, like you would start teaching to help out or something of that nature.
Right.
But if it was,
Now, I could see slave labor to get the rocks to Egypt.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
But as far as the actual building of the pyramid, those were skilled masons.
the only thing like because they kept saying it's like how the heck do they get the precision cuts? The only thing I kept thinking is like think about it. Have you ever seen these people at like rock quarries and stuff?
Yeah.
they put wedges in these.
Yeah, I've
things,
seen that.
and they'll smack it with a backhoe, or not a backhoe, a front loader or something, and then these wedges will start and it would cut.
Yeah, I have
And they
seen
do that same stuff with like granite and stuff of that nature. So all I kept thinking is that they just need manual labor. Think of a giant guillotine.
Yeah,
They
maybe.
slide the thing in. It literally just drops on there, and they literally just pick it back up,
I
and
know
then
they
until
would,
it
like,
cracks.
they would sit there and hammer, spikes into it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
keep doing that into the line they wanted it to split, and then they would start hammering wedges. But even that, I mean, because you think that we don't have a whole lot of what do you call it, like evidence of ancient Egyptians having complex, mechanical stuff.
Yeah.
So if they did this stuff, it was by hand, and it was. I mean, it was literally one rock. I mean, that's a weekend
And you
to
guys-
split this thing.
And what about the
Yeah.
tools too back then?
Yeah, and
What type of like material didn't? I don't think they had any type of
they were.
where it's it wasn't steel. I know that.
It's weird that this is actually something that I can actually chime in on.
That's why I'm
know,
trying to talk about it, because it's odd. Because it just seems just like the whole electricity thing. How did they get to think about melting this material because they thought it was harder?
Right.
I know things could, once you're taught something, accidents can happen.
Right.
Just like how you said rocket fuel was invented. It was
It
by
was
an accident.
Yeah.
So, but they were set out to make fuel.
Yeah.
That's what their thing. So it was there, but how something
I think
had to
it
be.
was hydrazine they were experimenting with in a barn in Russia. They were literally playing with hydrazine in a barn, and they literally blew themselves up and accidentally discovered rocket fuel. But hey, I mean, you got to break some eggs, right? I mean,
Right.
it's
But,
just a barn.
Sorry for getting off the topic, but I think we said the same thing about the Vikings and stuff. How did they get to that point?
Yeah,
What showed them? What made them think that?
Any iron that the Egyptians had would have been in trade. So that to me says it wouldn't have been a lot. I mean, these are guys that were, they were using a lot of copper tools, and we all know here that copper is not viable in regards to any kind of heavy work. I mean, copper, making a blade out of copper is barely gonna even cut rope. It's not gonna do much.
It's going to dull the fuck out left and right.
Yeah, weapons, that's a little different. If you're making a weapon to pierce or cut somebody,
Yeah.
well,
And it's actually good because it poisons, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Isn't that a bronze? I thought bronze actually does some type of
there is a such thing as copper poisoning, but I think, in all honesty, if you were stabbed and lived, I feel like you could get through it.
I thought there was some type of infection that happens.
It's the
because of
opposite. The opposite with bronze. It's the reason why bronze was used for so long. Is it's antimicrobial by nature.
Oh, okay.
That's like why doorknobs and handrails and stuff used to always be bronze, is because it's somewhat antimicrobial. It's hard for bacteria to grow on bronze.
Bronze is an interesting alloy to work with too. It doesn't react the same as like iron. With iron, you can heat it to hell and back, and you can basically just beat the shit out of it. And honestly, with the type of fuels they used back then, by the way, folks, I've been a knife maker and a blacksmith for about almost 10 years, so it's the reason I know this stuff is because I was obsessed with it. With bronze or with iron, you can heat it to hell and back and keep working it. And the types of fuels they had back then, primarily, contrary to belief, was charcoal. It wouldn't have been coal. Coal wasn't going to come around for a long time. But charcoal, well, the more you heat iron, the more carbon you start to get. It starts, giving you some carbon, and eventually you'll get yourself a piece of low carbon steel if you keep at it long enough. But bronze doesn't do that. Bronze, like Josh said, it's very resistant, and it doesn't like high heats. It likes low heats, dull heats. I'm talking like 900 degrees to 1,000 degrees range. You work it in a dull red heat to shape it if you want to hammer it. So back then, a lot easier. You know, bronze and copper being super easy, you don't even really need heat. You could pretty much just melt it and pour it, and then sharpen it. Because, like I said, I mean, if you're using it as a weapon, well, that's easy. The human body's not exactly, you know, made of stone, so, you know, you can do some damage with copper then. But as far as like heavy quarry work with stones and such, even iron isn't gonna do much. Iron isn't gonna last through that. I mean,
after a couple, like I would say, if you put a decent like,
I mean, there's
like,
a reason it's named Rockwell hardness. You know what I mean? It's literally, you know, it measures the hardness of a piece of steel versus diamonds.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like diamond being super hard, Rockwell hardness comes up, and then when you get to that sweet point where you know your edge is gonna last forever, that's where you stop. That's where you want to cut her off. You know, they didn't have that back then.
Yeah,
they didn't have those kind of capabilities. You know, the Vikings had one type of weapon that was pretty close to, you know, a medium carbon steel now, and they didn't even make that steel. They got it in trades. You know, they were trading all up and down the Volga River, and they were getting that stuff from, you know, what would have been, I think it would have been, what was it called? I mean, I know they say that it's Damascus is named for the place, but there's still nobody really knows where Damascus steel actually came from. But they had the superior steel. The Vikings traded with them. They got the steel. They'd get a couple bars, make a sword, and the sword is just awesome. We're talking way after, you know, Egyptians.
Yeah.
Egyptians wouldn't have had anything. Honestly, the only thing I could think of was the tools were made out of other stones. And that just, do we have evidence of that? Like, is there anything out there showing that we have stone tools that these guys used?
Like, that would actually, like, make more sense, because I know they would probably take a while.
Yeah.
But you gotta think, like, if they had some type of, like I said, was like a guillotine or something heavy, dropping on that, like, yeah, over
Another
time. Another big rock.
Spend all weekend lifting this one up.
With an edge.
Yeah.
Smacks that. It's like, that's what their way of life was like, they would break something, fix it. Break something, fix it.
I remember watching that movie, 10,000 BC.
Oh, yeah.
In the movie, it showed the mammoths pulling the stones up. And even that, I was like, well, shit, that's even more believable.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
mammoths were around after the Egyptians.
Yeah, so...
Would they be in that type of area?
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, elephants are. Think
I feel
about
like
it.
The
DNA-wise, elephants are not much different than a mammoth, so...
Wasn't there like a sighting in Siberia of a mammoth?
Yeah. Did you see that video?
In the it was in color, so it wasn't too terribly long ago.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was
40s or 50s, wasn't it?
The video was it was tape. Like, it was a tape video. So it's
like a
old.
Super 8 kind of thing.
Yeah, but there was a lot of people that were saying, they were like, "Oh, it's a bear walking with a salmon in its mouth." Right?
Yeah, I remember you telling me this.
And I've watched that clip.
It is not a bear.
Hundreds of times.
That is way too big.
That river is ridiculous deep, and this thing is walking through it. I'm like, dude, come on. Okay, if it is a bear,
it's a big fucking bear.
We've got an even bigger problem here, because that is a super bear, and we need it to stay there.
I don't understand why everybody wants to dismiss anything from prehistory that lingered over.
Yeah.
Because you look, like I said, we were closer to mammoths than the pyramids.
Yeah.
Realistically, like, they were still on Earth. Mm-hmm. You know, these people saw mammoths. You know, the coelacanth, the fish that everybody thought was a prehistoric fish. Yeah. They discovered that in the 30s or something, or
it was. It was actually a lot more recent.
I've got to be careful, because the last time I got to do my redaction now. Okay. So the last time I was on, I talked about the redaction hour. So re. But so the last time I was on, I was talking about the gorillas being discovered in the 1960s.
Yeah.
I got that wrong. And I actually fact checked myself. The gorillas were, like, discovered in 1902.
Okay.
And there was a tribe of gorillas that was discovered in the 60s.
Okay.
That they didn't. It was a type of mountain gorilla that people didn't think was there.
Yeah.
But even then, I'm only 60 years off.
Right.
60 years isn't that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things. Sorry, mosquito.
The thing that got me about that whole thing was that how people reacted to other people talking about stories of the gorillas. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
There's people back then going like, dude, there's these hairy people up there, those are gorillas, they're up there, they're like, no, they're not, man. That's that's a hoax. That's a dude in a suit, man. You know what I mean?
Right.
You silly.
You're stupid.
Yeah.
You're stupid gorillas. And then turns out they're real, and it's like, oh, well, that's cool. Now everybody, on the planet's like, oh, it's a gorilla. That's cool.
Right.
Let's put them in, zoos.
Right.
What was the other thing that you said to this? I can't remember who you said it was. It was some famous. It was a cryptozoologist.
No.
That said about. I think it was some type of turtle. The Galapagos Islands.
Oh yeah.
What was it? The tortoise.
Yeah.
Or some-
it's the Galapagos tortoise. Yeah.
Yeah, like so. Everybody said it was just.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't real or
they didn't
something
believe, when Darwin came back with that stuff, they thought he was full of shit.
Yeah. So.
And then he brought him back with him. Like, well, look at it then.
Boom.
And it didn't even like everybody thinks it started with the giant turtles, and it didn't. It was two different finches, little birds that he caught in cages. That's what he took back. And the reason is because they had finches where he was from, and he wanted to show the difference that these evolved differently than theirs.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's actually pretty awesome that you just said that, because that kind of kicks us back to what we were talking about, the Yeti.
I thought you were going to talk about the bird drones. I was
No,
like,
not the bird
Are we
drones.
going back to bird drones?
No, not that far back.
Darwin discovered the bird drones.
Yes.
And he proved, without a shadow of doubt, that the Earth was full. It was flat and it was full of bird drones.
No,
You can't make this shit up, man. Like seriously, it's too golden,
no the Yetis.
It's amazing.
right?
Like the difference
The
in like
difference in evolution. God
like,
damn it, we're all about full circles.
I'm just saying like that shows that just because I know that like we were just saying we didn't want to touch base like different races and stuff, but in animals and species of all like walks of life, if you start living in a different area for a long time, you're going to change in a certain way. What about that movie Pandorum?
Oh yeah,
remember
Pandorum.
the Pandorum movie? They gave them something.
Quaid.
Yeah, Dennis Quaid.
Yeah, he's a great actor.
They gave him some type of thing. I know this is a fake movie, but still, they gave him a like some type of medicine that will let them, when they get to the new world, it will help them adapt easier on that. But apparently, I hope that you guys didn't.
Yeah,
like a lot of people.
Have you seen it?
I don't know if I have or not. I don't think I have.
You're about to learn the whole plot.
Spoiler. Let me take my. I'll take my headphones off. You guys,
You hear him talking to
but it won't be in stereo.
Wow, that was loud.
I'm sorry about that.
That was all good. No, but yeah, like they gave him this to come back on to when they get to the new planet, they can adapt, and then.
Yeah,
but apparently they get out and they have to I guess the spaceship crashed.
Yep.
They got
evolved.
out. They evolved.
Yeah,
in their
they evolved.
environment inside the ship.
Inside the sheep.
The sheep. This is the mead.
You guys aren't going to let me on the episodes anymore if I keep this up.
But yeah, like so, like you gotta think like that's. Just because, like, I know that's a fake movie, but it's still a similar thing. They gave them a medicine to help them force that evolutionary stance, but evolution
It backfired.
it backfired, but it's still the same thing.
It's a fantastic film.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Really
still, if I told you the plot, I didn't tell you the
I was
whole
gonna
plot.
Say, like
I'll have to check it out.
If you watch it, you'll be like, oh, you'll be like, those guys are terrible at describing this to me. This is so much better.
Well, the only thing I described was like
Yeah.
the humans evolved just because of their stuff
that's
around
like
us.
Environmental evolution, it's like where you're at, forces you to become what you are,
Yeah,
because
like-
you gotta adapt, you gotta overcome.
What is
Right.
like people up in like colder climates and stuff like Alaska and stuff? You'd go up there, we'd probably be freezing our butts off.
Oh yeah.
But some of them would be outside in a t-shirt. Like they're used to it. Like their bodies changed.
It's acclimation.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the word, acclimation. Yeah.
We're hooked on phonics.
Yeah.
It works for us.
We got some big words on this podcast. You folks out there listening to this, if you're still with us, this is you're so lucky right now to get to hear this. We probably think we sound just so intelligent, and we've evolved because of the mead. The mead has evolved us, and we are like right now. We think we are making some serious Mark Twain shit is going on. But when we listen to this, when you guys out there listen to this, it's probably not going to sound anything like what we think, is it?
I think we accidentally made a blooper reel.
We hit Pandorum.
Pandora.
Awesome.
Shit. There's sheep. I love sheep.
And sheeps.
But I like these kind of like conversations because
Nothing was planned.
nothing's
no
planned,
script.
and
Yeah.
we're just throwing these together because
It's riffing for sure.
Oh yeah.
totally.
Yeah. But it's fun, It's like I said earlier when we started, it looks like we have like 2.5 episodes here.
I don't know how.
We've got almost 3 episodes here. Like I'm
Wow.
dead serious. Like it's awesome.
It's definitely darker than when we started.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, like I said
thought,
in the
like-
beginning was that what the hell did I say in the beginning? I said something in the beginning, didn't I?
Well,
There were some words.
Well, I don't want to bring him back up, but you did call just let that guy know about his message.
Oh, what's his face?
I didn't know his name. He deleted his message.
Yeah, he was really quick.
So we spent 3 hours rattling cages.
We did.
I feel like we're rattling cages now, especially like the flat Earth people that believe in pigeon drones.
Well, it's not like we came out and said like, "Hey, we don't risk," You're
I don't care,
blatantly
like,
wrong. Believe what you need to get through this life. It's fine.
But you gotta I'm gonna have my own opinion, but
Exactly.
I'm just a podcaster. Take with what if you want to believe me or not, that's fine.
That's kind of that's what I was saying earlier. It's like we've made like $8 off of our podcast. It's not like we're in it to get rich. We're having fun. You guys, we don't have a script. We don't even really, honestly, we loosely, and I say that very, very generously, we loosely plan what we might talk about, and sometimes it doesn't happen. Sometimes we just talk, and you guys are along for the ride.
It's more like we started this podcast because it was more about getting people on here talking about their encounters, and it kind of morphed into more of a discussion about all these cryptids and unexplained stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel like people are enjoying it because they can join in. It gets I feel like we said that from the beginning. It's just our conversations might not align up with what they're thinking, but it gets the gears turning, and different opinions come out of it.
I really do enjoy when people
Oh yeah,
randomly just drop a letter, on a comment, and I'll sit there and read it, and I'm sitting there reading it, and they're telling me stuff I've never heard or their opinion. I'm just like, dude, this is amazing, And I always thank them, always,
Oh yeah.
Just thank you, thank you for taking the time out of your day, I mean, nobody does that, So when they do it, I really appreciate it. I think it's awesome, Like you said, we've been riffing this whole time, We've got a pretty long one, but we have graduated. We're now on Anchor, and we can have longer episodes now. So we'll probably bust this one into 2.
2?
I think so. Okay. I think we can bust it into 2 and just, and plus everybody loves Josh too.
Oh, yeah.
They really.
I appreciate that too. That's awesome.
Everybody loves you. I have the analytics to prove it. We saw it happen. We watched our analytics. We watched the progress, and It's honestly, it's more of just an enjoyment. Like, when you see it, you see the downloads just going, and you're like, wow, man, people are they're out there. It's really cool. And then when your episode dropped, it actually did something that really none of them have done. It took off on the YouTube and the actually straight podcast platforms.
No kidding.
It went crazy on both.
That's awesome.
So it was like, and then there was comments. I don't know if you saw it on the like actual video on YouTube. There was literally comments saying, "Hell yeah, bring Josh back on."
Nice.
You know what I mean? And there's like all this. So, Josh, you're definitely gonna have to be. I mean, you're gonna have to be a recurring regular because here's the thing. We promised people that we would Gibbs-nap you, like whenever we could, and we don't want to go back on it.
Right.
Right. That'd be shitty.
Right. And we can do it at your place anytime, or we can do it out here.
Yeah, right on.
I mean, I've got enough extension cord. We could go anywhere out here.
Yeah.
You want to go out there next to the cows? We can do that.
You guys want to hear some cows in the background sometime?
Do it on
Just
a
let us
Saturday
know.
night. Listen to the racetrack.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
I like that too. It's like we've been pretty upfront with that. Is that I love the idea of having a studio built just for this. Just to do this. Especially when the winter months start coming in.
Yeah.
But as far as the format or whatever, it's like we're just a bunch of good old boys, and we're sitting outside. I could spend hours putting noise gates on and compressors and getting rid of the background noise, but that's life going on out there. So
Right.
let's appreciate it.
And we can, I've got a fire pit. You've got a fire pit.
Absolutely.
I put fire in bottles. We can stay warm.
That's true. That would be a cool video to do one night, just passing a bottle at a campfire. You know what I mean? Talking about the mysteries of the universe.
I like it.
I dig it. Yeah, it's cool. I don't know. We like I said, we got about 2, so we may want to wrap it. But
Hey, it doesn't mean that it's the end. So
oh yeah,
So no matter
we've got
what-
infinite episodes coming. I think I don't see us slowing down anytime soon. We seem
Yep.
like this has become kind of a priority to us, to get this stuff out there to you constant listeners and make sure that we keep the conversation going. And as always, if you've had any kind of encounter, or you just want to shoot us your thoughts, do not hesitate. They are valid. I don't care. I don't care what you believe. You believe flat Earth? Tell us why. Educate us. I want to know.
Yeah.
I really do. That's genuine. I want to know. And if there's anybody out there that believes the birds are drones, please contact us. Let us know. I want to know everything about it. I want to know, because there has to be some really, really interesting stuff behind this theory, and to hear it from someone who actually from that point of view, I think that would be pretty incredible, so encounters at kyxfiles.com. You know the drill. You know the address. I'm sick of telling you. You know it. Also, too, I know I keep plugging this. I'm going to keep doing it till one of you guys does it. There's a link on our Facebook page, and you can click it, and you can literally send us a voice message. And if you send it, as long as you don't say anything too terrible about me or Tyler and insult us and, insult our guests or say bad things about Grandma, we will play it. We'll play it right here on the show, and it'll be great. You can tell us anything you want to. Tell us about your encounter. If you want to keep it short and sweet, it doesn't matter. If you want to take up some space, from what I understand, you can do quite a good message on there. Click on it. Let us know. Talk to us. Say hi. Don't be a stranger, And I don't know. If you want to hear, you want Gibbs back on, you know what to do. Just keep commenting. Just let him know. Tell him. He's smiling right now.
I'll come back for sure.
He's smiling.
Just tell me to come back.
No, I really wish you guys out there could have some of this made, because it was fantastic. Josh, seriously, thanks for having us over, man.
Oh, it was my pleasure.
Awesome.
Absolutely my pleasure.
Thank you.
Absolutely awesome. And the mead was wonderful. We were actually sitting here drinking it out of horns. I might snap a picture of that and put it on the Facebook when this episode airs. Really, really cool. Very Viking,
Yeah.
Awesome. Wonderful stuff and wonderful, awesome conversation. Always a pleasure. And yeah, I guess till next time, guys. You guys be good to each other out there. Keep your heads on a swivel. Trust your gut. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
See you guys.